How does a man commit a brutal triple murder and instead of facing the gallows, become America's most celebrated frontier hero? The answer lies inside a forgotten 1861 courtroom. We are told that the legendary gunfighter, Wild Bill Hickok, earned his fame by courageously facing down a ruthless band of outlaws. But the real court records tell a deeply disturbing story. Before the fame, he was just an awkward 24-year-old stable hand, mockingly nicknamed Duck Bill. When he shot an unarmed property owner from a hidden ambush, a territory judge stepped in, not to find the truth, but to protect a powerful corporation. By legally silencing the only surviving eyewitness, the court didn't just free a killer, it manufactured a myth. If you enjoy uncovering the dark historical truths behind legal legends, subscribe now, because the real history is far more twisted than the fiction. To understand how an ugly crime was transformed into an American legend, we have to look at the volatile landscape of the Nebraska Territory in July 1861. The United States was tearing itself apart at the start of the Civil War, but at Rock Creek Station, the war was entirely personal. The station was a vital outpost for the Overland Stage Company and the Pony Express, a high-stakes corporate lifeline connecting the East to the West. Managing this dusty outpost was a man named Horace Wellman, but the land itself belonged to a powerful, wealthy local rancher named David McCanles. McCanles was a man who used his size and influence to bully the locals, and he had sold the property to the freight company on credit. But the company was notoriously slow to pay. As months dragged on and the second mortgage installment failed to arrive, McCanles grew furious. He wasn't just losing patience with a distant corporation. He had a deep, simmering hatred for the low-level workers living on his land. Chief among them was James Butler Hickok. At 24 years old, Hickok was far from a legendary figure. He was a quiet, insecure stable hand recovering from a horrific bear mauling that had left him physically weakened. The locals didn't fear him. They openly mocked him. Because of a sweeping nose that overhung a protruding upper lip, everyone at the station called him Duck Bill. To make matters worse, a bitter personal feud had developed between the wealthy landlord and the awkward stable hand. Both men were aggressively pursuing the same local woman, a mistress named Sarah Shull. The tension at Rock Creek Station had reached a boiling point, fueled by corporate debt and intense sexual rivalry. On July 12, 1861, David McCanles decided he had waited long enough for his money. He rode down to the Rock Creek Station cabin to confront the manager, Horace Wellman, and demand the overdue mortgage payment. But McCanles didn't bring an army of outlaws. He arrived with his 12-year-old son, Monroe, and two unarmed ranch hands, James Woods and James Gordon. He expected a standard, albeit tense, financial dispute with a struggling manager. He had no idea he was walking into a fatal trap. When McCanles stepped up to the cabin door, he didn't find the corporate executives. He found himself face-to-face with the station manager and his bitter rival, Hickok. An ugly shouting match erupted on the porch. McCanles, using his physical size to intimidate, fiercely abused Wellman and mocked Hickok. Sensing the danger, Hickok retreated inside the dim cabin. He didn't square up for an honorable, face-to-face Western duel. Instead, he ducked behind a hanging calico curtain that divided the room, using the fabric as sniper concealment. Through a gap in the curtain, Hickok aimed a loaded rifle directly at the doorway. As McCanles stepped forward to continue the argument, a single shot shattered the afternoon quiet. The bullet tore through McCanles' chest from his hidden assailant. He stumbled backward off the porch and collapsed into the dirt, bleeding heavily in front of his terrified 12-year-old boy. But the horror at Rock Creek Station was just beginning. As McCanles lay dying, the rest of the station employees rushed outside to eliminate the remaining witnesses. The two unarmed ranch hands, Woods and Gordon, panicked and ran. They didn't make it out of the yard. Station employees hunted them down like animals. One was blasted at close range with a shotgun. The other, already badly wounded, was chased into the brush and brutally battered to death with agricultural hose by the station staff. Amid the blood and chaos in the station yard, the killers realized they had missed a witness. 12-year-old Monroe McCanles stood frozen, watching his father take his final breaths in the dirt. Suddenly, the station manager's wife spotted the boy and lunged at him, raising a heavy garden hoe to silence him permanently. Terrified, Monroe spun around and sprinted into the surrounding prairie brush. He ran blindly through the tall grass, his heart pounding, escaping the slaughter just in time to find safety down the trail. The news of the triple killing sent shockwaves through the local territory. Within days, a local constable arrested James Butler Hickok, Horace Wellman, and another station hand named J.W. Dockbrink. They were officially charged with murder and brought before a regional territorial judge for a preliminary hearing. To the community, the case looked clear-cut. 3 unarmed men had been ambushed and slaughtered by a group of heavily armed company employees. But as the defendants sat in the makeshift courtroom, a powerful, invisible shield began to form around them. The local justice system was fragile, underfunded, and utterly dependent on the overland stage line to maintain communication and trade with the rest of America during the opening months of the Civil War. If the station crew went to the gallows, the vital shipping outpost would collapse. The court was under immense pressure to protect the corporate infrastructure, and that meant finding a legal loophole to make the murders disappear. The courtroom turning point arrived when the prosecution attempted to introduce their star witness. The state had a major hurdle. The 2 adult ranch hands who could have described the ambush were dead. The entire case now rested on the shoulders of 12-year-old Monroe McCanles. He was the only independent, living soul who could prove that his father was unarmed and shot from behind a hidden curtain. But when Monroe was called to the stand to tell the court what he saw, the defense objected, and the territorial judge made a calculated, devastating ruling. Under the strict legal technicalities of the era, the judge declared that a 12-year-old child was legally incompetent to give testimony in a capital murder trial. By completely barring the boy's voice from the record, the court committed a profound due process failure. They erased the only narrative that contradicted the killers. With the child legally silenced, the defense took full control of the courtroom narrative. Hickok and his associates claimed they were under siege by a ruthless, bloodthirsty outfit of outlaws. They argued that they had no choice but to fire in self-defense to protect valuable corporate property from destruction. Because the court chose to prioritize regional stability and corporate infrastructure over a fair investigation, the judge accepted the self-defense plea. The charges were completely dismissed, and Hickok walked out of the courtroom a free man. The dismissal of the charges was a massive victory for the Overland Stage Company, but for James Butler Hickok, it was an opportunity to completely reinvent himself. Safe from the gallows, he immediately took steps to erase his humiliating past. He grew out a long, sweeping mustache for the sole purpose of hiding the protruding upper lip that had earned him the mocking nickname Duck Bill. But changing his appearance was only the first step. With the legal system having officially validated his story of self-defense, Hickok realized he could rewrite history entirely. A few years later, he met with a reporter from Harper's new monthly magazine and sold them a wildly sensationalized, fabricated narrative of the events at Rock Creek Station. In this new version, David McCanles wasn't an unarmed landlord demanding a mortgage payment. He was the bloodthirsty leader of the McCanles Gang, a fictional 10-man outfit of Confederate guerrilla cutthroats. Hickok claimed that he had stood his ground completely alone inside the cabin, facing down the entire gang in the fiercest gunfight one man ever undertook. He told the public he had been hit by 11 bullets, single-handedly killing several of the outlaws with his pistols and wrestling the rest to death with a Bowie knife. The media swallowed the lie whole. Harper's printed the story as absolute historical fact, and overnight, the awkward, insecure stable hand known as Duck Bill was permanently erased from the American consciousness. In his place stood a manufactured, national frontier icon, Wild Bill Hickok. The real tragedy of Rock Creek Station isn't just that 3 unarmed men lost their lives in a cowardly ambush. It's that the legal system actively participated in rewriting their slaughter into a patriotic triumph. The territorial court protected the defendants not because it truly believed they were innocent, but because the alternative, crippling a vital corporate transport network at the dawn of the Civil War, was too costly for the government to bear. Sometimes, the law breaks its own rules to protect the status quo, and in doing so, it creates a dangerous precedent where the truth is entirely disposable. The next time you see a statue of a legendary Western lawman, look closely at the foundation. More often than not, it is built on a buried courtroom file and a silenced witness. What do you think about the judge's decision to bar a 12-year-old eyewitness from testifying? Was it a calculated cover-up to protect the transport company or a rigid adherence to the flawed legal standards of 1861? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to uncover more dark, hidden legal mysteries from history, make sure to subscribe.